I'm Frank Tamburino with the Harrisonburg Rockingham Chamber of Commerce. Connections is an annual event we do to introduce business people to other business people and impart ideas and concepts that they can use in business to be more successful. Basically, the Chamber exists for 4 different reasons, is what we found out over the years: lead, advocate, network, and promote. So leadership, we've got leadership programs. We're training tomorrow's leaders. Current leaders are, within on the board and other, prominent positions within the organization. Advocacy, we try to make sure we got a good business climate here. So we do a lot outside of things like this, which is a networking opportunity in terms of, keeping up on government affairs and regulations. Promotion, we help promote the community. We help businesses promote themselves. And then networking. A lot of people join specifically because they want to meet other people in business, other potential customers, other partners. So that's what Connections is all about. Trying to, again, make those networking connections between people. And whether it's, again, just a simple, how are you? Here's a business card. You can connect later, or whether there's some more in-depth discussion, which there typically is in an event like this, where, I need a good, you've got a good, let's talk about it a little bit later and maybe do some business.
So this is the panel on social media for your business, and I will introduce the 3 panelists. Evan Hunsberger is the president of Chato Marketing and a JMU alumni. He co-launched Chato Marketing with another fellow JMU alumni, Chato. In May of 2016, they focused on small business needs with SEO, search engine optimization, digital advertising, social media management. That side of the company staffs 4 employees. They have a wide variety of services for organizations throughout the Valley. They do everything from branding, content creation, and event marketing, and even consulting. So welcome, Evan.
Thank you.
And then we have Charles Hendricks. He is an architect and partner with the Gaines Group Architects. His focus is on healthy, energy efficient, sophisticated architectural design. That's a mouthful there, but design solutions for residential, light commercial, and industrial projects. As with any small architectural firm owner, Charles fills multiple roles, and probably most of you in your businesses as well, so you can identify with Charles on that. So he does a lot with sustainability, and he's also the marketing director for the firm, and he's also the principal in charge at the Harrisonburg, Virginia office, while his 2 other partners manage the firm in Charlottesville. And they were named the best small architectural firm in the United States Green Building Council Best of Building Awards. So that sounds very prestigious. And the firm is known basically for their knowledge of practical green construction techniques. And then here we have Dawn Murray, and she is the owner of the Village Arts Center in Broadway, so just up the road. The Village Arts Center, this one's really interesting. I didn't know much about it until I met you a couple weeks ago for this. So Dawn describes the Village Arts Center as a comfortable place for everyone to explore their creative talents and to share their artistic skills, or lack thereof, I think, probably in my case. But the mission of the Village Arts Center is to encourage community development through personal enrichment. They bring people with similar interests together. It's a privately owned community center that provides music and art lessons for adults and families. They also coordinate community-focused programs. They host special events, concerts, birthday parties, team building activities, private gatherings, training workshops for parents and child care providers. And so, I think everybody on this panel, it's kind of unique because you have people from 3 totally different areas. And so we met a couple weeks ago and just kind of started the conversation about how you do social media for your business. So we'll start there. I'm Erin Overstreet. I am the director of digital sales for Gray Television. And Gray Television owns WHSV, if you're familiar with the ABC, CBS, Fox station in town, and I was the director of digital media for WHSV for 8 years, and now I'm that for all 60 of our stations across the U.S. So I think feel free to give some feedback of things that you guys want to hear or talk about, but really you know, I want to hear from you guys about your connection to social media and what it is in relevance to your business. So, Dawn, would you like to start?
Sure. So when we met a couple weeks ago, Erin asked what we loved the most about social media, and I admitted quickly that I really don't love using social media at all, but it is terrifically effective and kind of entertaining at times. So the voice that I bring, I think, to the panel is a less technical use of social media. What seems to work for my business is representing myself as a genuine person. I don't do a lot of graphs and charts and technical things, but I speak using social media as I do in person. And so people connect my tone of voice from when we visit with what they see that I post. And I've got several different ideas for ways to make it more fun and not so time consuming. That's what I don't like about social media. Some folks really like to spend a lot of time and they're really, really good at it. But I use it as a way to communicate and interest people that maybe don't know about the Village Arts Center.
And I think when we first met, you said, I think, quote, I actually hate social media, but I know I have to do it.
Exactly. So. It's like some vegetables. I mean, it's just good for you, and you just have to do it.
Eat your lemon beans. Charles, so what's your connection with social for the business?
I hate most vegetables. I'm not going to eat them. I moved over to Harrisonburg 10 years ago. We have an established business in Charlottesville where we're pretty well known, but over here I had no clients at all in the worst economy of my lifetime. So I started blogging. And you're not going to hire an architect unless you trust them. So I've played the Mennonite name game. I fell at that. I don't have that heritage here, so nobody knows who my grandfather was. So that's how you build trust in the Valley generally. I had to build a brand. So I do architecture different from anybody else in town. So I started writing about that. I write about my kids. I write about the things that they say. So blogging to me was just a way to build trust within the community. And that, when I blog, it goes out through Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. I put it out everywhere that I can so that I can get those web hits, which builds the trust, but it also pushes me up in Google search results. So for SEO, I've been blogging now for 8 years, and I was, up until this year, blogging 5 times a week. So I have one of the stronger websites in the Valley just as my blog. What I realized this year, because we all make mistakes, is my website was a separate site. So my website wasn't the strongest, my blog was. So now we've integrated the two and we're building on that.
And I think that makes a lot of sense because, you know, what we're all trying to make Google happy, basically. And so what Google likes are, you know, relevant content and changing content and things like that. So it makes a whole lot of sense to have that on your site. And I think that people don't necessarily think of blogging as a social media thing, but you use social to get your blog out, and social can help you in rankings too for search. So I think that's it's a great strategy, and I think it's one that people don't often think of when they're thinking about social. Evan, so this is your job in your life.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, I'm a millennial, so I've been around social media since I was in high school. I mean, I'm only 22 now, so that's not that long, I guess. I mean, we use it for a variety of different purposes. I mean, it's everything, you know, from, we have clients that, you know, their brands are product focused, and we, you know, post photos and videography of their products. On social media, you know, we use it within our firm to kind of communicate the things that we're doing in the community and the new marketing practices that we're trying to implement. You know, we also share our blog that we finally have up and running now that I have a team of individuals besides myself that are spending time creating content for our website. And then we also have event marketing that we do. So how many of you are familiar with the Harrisonburg International Festival? Okay, so we recently, so last year we did all the social media marketing for them, and also this year. And so we've kind of been able to build upon just the following and the amount of people who have heard about the Harrisonburg International Festival brand using social media. Day of the festival, we actually had 60,000 people see content from the festival due to kind of the social media marketing plan that we had set up. So that was a really big win for us. So very familiar with it and used it a lot of different ways. Yeah.
So with social, the other thing I think that has shifted in the last couple of years is you got to pay to play in a lot of cases. So what is your take on that?
So actually for the International Festival, we had basically zero budget to spend on boosting posts or placing ads on Facebook or any other social media site. Fortunately, the kinds of content that we were sharing was something that the community was really interested in. I mean, who doesn't love going to an event that there is a ton of music and food and vendors and stuff for your kids and all that kind of stuff? Like, who doesn't want to share something like that and invite other people to come with them? So we were very fortunate that the kind of content that we were sharing was something that other people were willing to share, and that just kind of like made the reach exponential. Because the more people that share the content on Facebook, the more people that see it, which means more people will engage with it and all that kind of stuff, and it just kind of boosts the overall image of your account and your brand. So that was one instance that we didn't have any budget. But honestly, I think that in some ways, pay to play is it's frustrating and annoying because as soon as you see an ad pop up in your newsfeed, you just kind of breeze past it. But I think that if it's a piece of content that it's not just a sales piece, but it's something that, like a video that your audience is really going to care about. So for the International Festival, maybe it was something that WHSV had put up because they did an entire series on the festival. If it was that kind of content, that's definitely something that I would want to boost, not just a sales piece. Click here to buy now. Nobody's going to really click on that or engage with that in the way that you want them to.
And I think that's important for everyone to know because I think we're in an age where we have so many choices and we want to do business with people we connect to.
Yeah.
Do you find that different types of content that you post connect with people different ways?
Yeah. My issue is I'm very technical, and I'm not, for those of you that are Seinfeld fans, I'm not Costanza, who's a fun architect. For the younger crowd, I'm not Ted Mosby, who's always at a bar. So finding the content that will resonate with the community and they'll be interested in, it's difficult for me. Whereas an art center has something fun to share, the International Festival has bands. So you have to figure out what you want to share to build your brand. For me, I'm building trust. I want people to know me. So I'm trying to share. That's why my kids are on my business page or on my blog. I'm sharing about me so that you know that I live in the community, I care about the community. I also post a lot of other events. So I shared International Festival on the Gaines Group page. I want to share out what the community is doing and build that I'm here and I'm part of the community to grow it. For the only time that I spend money on ads is when I'm trying to boost a specific event or highlight a specific thing that I think there is a broad audience for and I want it to multiply. I'm never going to boost an ad that says, hire me, I'm a great architect. I know that's not going to be effective.
It's not viral content.
Right.
Right. I think the community part is great because that's what people want. I know Chris Rooker's back there and you put out that newsletter where it's got what's going on in the community and everything new, and that's really engaging. And that's the type of thing that other businesses can share. So when you do have a message that you need to get out about your business, it goes somewhere. People actually see it.
Well, it's a great way to connect with other businesses, which sounds obvious, but it really is. So if I know that you're sharing something and then I share it, not only are my people seeing that, but you know that I had your back. So it builds that sense of a different level of networking, I think.
Has anyone ever had made any social media faux pas that you kind of regret? I'll put you on the spot here.
Oh, well, if you get an email from me, it says it's from Dawn last name because I set up my Google Analytics thing incorrectly. So I've learned to ask for help.
Yes.
But one of the points that I was thinking about sharing is it's really important because if you're posting something, you're passionate about it and you want lots of people to know, before you hit that go button, it's really helpful to have someone who's not super connected just give it a quick look over. Checking for things like grammatical errors, just the format. Like, is it busy? Is it complicated? Is there too much information? Just having another set of eyes is really helpful, and it prevents a lot of those mistakes where you've just sent something out where you've misspelled the name of your business and everybody's seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've made plenty of mistakes along the way, and you're going to. You have to be willing to make mistakes. So I'm dyslexic, so I'm blogging all the time. I constantly get people sending me notes that something is wrong in my blog. So I go in and fix it. It doesn't bother me. It's not a personal attack on me. It's the approach I have to take in life.
Yeah. So I guess I haven't personally done anything, but one of my employees one time didn't quite understand a client's brand, and I mean, I think this is something we'll probably talk about more later, but how you want to be perceived on social media, and you know, how you're perceived in person, you know, like you were talking about earlier, Dawn, is extremely important, that those two things are extremely cohesive, and that you're not presenting yourself one way on social and another way in person. So if you're a fun-loving person, be a fun-loving person on social. If you're serious, you probably don't want to post a cat meme or a photo of Grumpy Cat from your business account or your professional account. So going back, one of my employees decided that use of an emoji on a client's social media account was something that she wanted to do, and let's just say that I got a very miffed email from that client a while later and said, "This is definitely not what my brand is about." So we quickly changed that, but yeah, making sure that the product or the service that you're offering and who you are in person and what you're doing on social is cohesive is, again, extremely important.
And that's tough. I mean, coming from your side. I mean, I'm in that space, so it's such a subjective thing. And when you're posting on behalf of other people, you're gonna get stuff wrong sometimes. So, do you? I know that you probably do it all yourself. I mean, and you do as well. Do you ever use anybody else in the business or connected to you to kind of help share the load for posting?
I do. So I manage Valley Business Keynote's Facebook side.
Right.
And somebody else does the Twitter side, and I've put other people onto the Facebook side. So it's not as consistent as it used to be. The voice is different, and some of the things, there was an inspirational post that was posted yesterday, and I went, it doesn't really fall with what VBK is all about.
Right.
But the person that's helping me post is relatively new to the board, so that depth of experience isn't there of what we're after.
Right.
Yeah.
But sometimes those people too. I mean, I think that's a good way to get employees involved too. You think as a business owner, you have to do it all yourself, and sometimes I think that can help you build, employee engagement and loyalty by owning a piece of the company, kind of that way.
Well, and a lot of times, because we're an art center and we want to let people know what we do there, every month I have a contest. Which is relatively free marketing for me, where I invite anybody who's visited the Art Center to post a picture of something that they've made, or a picture of them next to the sign out front. And I have found that it is very helpful to be able to give them a piece of paper with the exact hashtags that match the name of my business and Fun in Broadway, Virginia. And then the goal there is that they're telling their friends, their like-minded friends, about what we do, and they're going to see that and they're going to want to check it out and see what's going on at the Village Arts Center. You have to be careful when you open an invitation to everybody that's your guest or your customer to be kind of promoting what you do. I have to have specific rules, and so I talk about this when people leave. I would love for you to share your pictures. I would love to see the photos that you took today, but please make sure that you don't post a picture of a child that doesn't belong to you. So there's some safety issues that you need to be aware of, and most of the time, after that conversation, there's a mom who's been taking 100 pictures during this event, and she says, "Hey, moms, is it okay if I post these pictures?" And everybody says, "Yeah, it's fine." But just making people aware of what your rules are before they start sharing your things is very helpful.
Yeah, that's major, especially with working with children. You never know, and you have to be very careful of that. So you do Facebook? Do you do other platforms for the business?
It's primarily Facebook, which I wasn't anticipating would be so successful, but it seems to work, so I keep working with that. I do a little bit with Instagram, and then I have a newsletter, which is a little different, but I use MailChimp, which is probably very outdated, but it seems to work for me. I can understand it. So those are the 3 primary things that we use.
And Charles, I know you do Twitter as well. You're the king of Twitter and Facebook.
And LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn, okay.
Instagram, WordPress, MailChimp. Yeah, I use them all.
LinkedIn's probably a powerful platform for
I absolutely hate
your
LinkedIn.
blogs.
I think it's terrible
Yeah?
format. It's hard to search.
Yeah,
But if I'm looking for an employee, it's a great place to go.
perfect for recruiting.
Occasionally, people read the stuff that I put there, but yeah, it's not my favorite platform.
So what kind of platforms are you seeing? I mean, Facebook tends to still be the place that can reach most small businesses, customers.
I mean, for my clients, it's really dependent on a client-by-client basis. I have some that were just using Facebook and Twitter, or others that it's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Recently, we've added, so for the International Festival this year, we added Snapchat. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that. If you have kids, you might see them running around with that, taking selfies all the time. So that was a really interesting medium to work with. We had tried, but unfortunately we weren't granted by Snapchat the ability to set up a filter the day of the festival, and we were going to have a grid that if you walked into it and you were a Snapchat user, you could use a filter, so it would have like the International Festival like artwork and logo. So if you took a snap, people would know that you're at the International Festival, which is a really cool way to market and kind of spread the message of the festival to people who might not be there. So that was a new platform that we worked with this year for them. But we've also used Pinterest and LinkedIn, and also talked about using a couple of the other like more niche platforms, such as Google+. That's a really good platform for very small, very tight-knit communities of people like photographers and designers, architects even. And those people are really like, you share something and you'll instantly have, 5, 10, 15, 20 or more hits, within an hour or less of you posting something, just because those people are all about that. And then some of the other more, I guess less mainstream platforms are ones that we've also looked at using for certain clients. Yeah.
So do you have advice for everybody on how they pick the platforms that are most effective? Because I mean, you can't be everywhere, nor should you.
I would say try and find out where your audience lives. If you're able to do that, then the stuff that you do on social media will, again, make a lot more sense, and you won't waste so much time. I personally like to say the big 3, so Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, are most places that businesses are going to find their audience and their users on. You might have some that are on Pinterest. If you're the art center, that's definitely a space that you might want to consider to be on. So, I mean, really, the way that you could go about maybe finding out where your audience lives on is, maybe do a survey of customers that come into your store, or, on your, if you have Google Analytics set up on your website, you can easily find out where your users are coming from and what platforms they're coming on. And also whether they're coming from mobile or whether they're using their computers or tablets. So, yeah.
It's really interesting to kind of poll people to get that that feedback. Charles, I know that we kind of talked a little bit when we all met about analytics and how do you know if something is effective? So how do you gauge what's working, what's not?
Yeah, I track blog clicks, so I want to see that which blog is engaging, which blogs are getting more shares or more reads. So I'm always going into analytics consistently on a regular basis, multiple times a day, to see if things are working.
And is there a way on your blog for people to contact you to get more information? And
Yeah, there's a subscription button, and I find that most people don't want to subscribe and get an email. They want to see it on Facebook. We've started a newsletter, and people will read all the blogs in that, but they don't want it sent to their email because all of us get 10 or 15 newsletters emailed to us every day, and we've now become numb to it. We don't want that. So there are ways that you can connect with me through all my platforms, but most people are catching me on social media, so Facebook or Twitter, or occasionally LinkedIn, sometimes Instagram.
So what excites you about social media? I know what doesn't excite you, but what's good about it? What do you love about it?
I love the fact that instantly something that's happening that people are excited about can be shared with all of their friends. So the perfect example is Tuesday night. I had 12 people in one of my art studios doing a painting event. And in the upstairs art studio, we had 7 ladies who were needle felting and making these little woolen pumpkins. Half of the people that were there, it was their first visit. They were all of those first visit people were there because their friends had come to the Village Art Center and posted pictures saying, oh my gosh, look what I made. Oh, this was so much fun. Oh, you have to try it. So the fact that it does a lot of the work for me. It's way more effective than a newspaper ad. And it seems to be the language that everybody speaks. So I love to see it work. I love it when people come in and say, I saw this thing on Facebook and I want to try.
That's awesome. I mean, it's the way you can connect with people. I mean, it's the word of mouth.
Yeah, that's the best advertising. Happy clients and guests are the best advertising you can get. So when they're doing the advertising for you, that's a win.
So do you get reviews do you allow reviews on your page as well?
Yep.
Do you solicit those reviews and find that that's helpful?
Occasionally. One of the things I've learned about using my website and the social media platforms that I do, it's really helpful to tell people what I need. If they want to see the art center continue to succeed, it's not begging and it's not pleading, but sometimes I'll this is a good example. Because I was asked to speak on this panel, I did a little experiment. The most new views I've ever had on my website in one day was 140. So I was closed for a little while for some medical reasons, and so while I was out of the office, I developed this new website, and it has online registration, which is really exciting for me. And so I posted a link to the new website on my own personal Facebook page, and I asked my friends not just to share it, but to invite people that they thought would enjoy the website to look at it. And within 12 hours, I had over 1,200 brand new people that had never seen my website before looking at the website. And as a result, all of the classes for the rest of the month are pretty much full at the Art Center.
Wow.
So letting people know that you have something that you need to share is helpful if you make it really easy. So putting the hashtags in front of them or putting a link right there. If I ask for a review, sometimes somebody will send me a message and say, I had a great time, and I'll say, hey, thanks so much. It was great to see you. If you had a super time, would you do a review? And in that message from me, there's a link to the review page on Facebook. All they have to do is click the blue letters, and they're right there. They don't have to search for it. So you have to make it easy for them to help you.
And I think that's really important, because the people that are most likely to leave a review for you obviously are not going to be your happy people, and there's always going to be unhappy people. You can't please everybody. So I think the only way to get rid of a bad review in a lot of cases is to bury it. And so you've got to actively, continually ask for it, because it's hard, because, you know, I get sent something afterwards and I've had a good experience, and I'm like, okay, I'll red flag that, I'll go back and leave that review, and it takes me 3 asks before I actually go in and do it, even though I was a happy customer. So do you gather reviews actively, and what's been your experience with all of that?
For me, because I'm on so many different platforms, the hard thing is getting them to review all the many platforms that you want to get the SEO out of. So House is a website that architects use to post pictures of their work so that they can be found by people that are looking to design a new house. So if you've been on House, the reviews are very important on the way that House sets up their their search functions. So to get somebody that is not familiar with that website that you just designed a house for to go to that website and write a review is pretty hard. Google is another place. For whatever reason, it's hard for somebody to write a review on Google. So I get them on Facebook. I'll share bits and pieces of that review. I'll post it back out to social media, hoping that it will catch on and saying, here's our places where I want to be. So review me here. It helps me get work. You're helping support my business and grow my business. Yeah.
Do you guys handle kind of reviews for people? Do you do any kind of reputation management?
We have done some of that. Again, it's really difficult to get people to review, and it just seems like, you know, for every positive review that you get 3 or 4 or 5 more reviews that are like, I didn't really have that good a time. This was awful. I didn't like this. You know, but I guess fortunately now we're, you know, I guess with the businesses that we've worked with, it's not been, I guess, that frequent that we're experiencing that anymore. Just because of the kinds of clients that we're working with now, everybody's, oh, I love this place.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is your advice for everybody on answering reviews on things that are being said about you online?
So I would say do not respond under any circumstances from your personal Facebook account. They're just, it's probably one of the biggest no-nos about social media that I probably see on a day in, day out basis. I'll sometimes have clients who, like, you know, they see a bad review and they're like, oh, I just got to respond right now. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, we'll take care of it. You know, that's our job. That's what you're paying us for. And so we'll make sure that, you know, we talk about it. We try and talk about it internally for a couple minutes before, you know, one of my employees or I take care of responding to it. You know, under no circumstances should you try and, like, you know, say that person's wrong, or that, you know, they're just being mean or anything like that. You know, continue to treat them with respect. I mean, all of us has probably heard the customer's always right mantra. That just seems like something that's spread throughout business. And I mean, you should still continue to respect them on social media just like you would in person.
Don't start a war on social media. It
definitely
very rarely works out. I always tell our newsrooms that I work with that you know, there's always going to be cave people, which are your citizens against virtually everything, and you can't let that ruin the power that social has for a business. Charles, so what advice would you give to anybody that's running a business on what are the most kind of effective ways that you found to engage people?
First, be authentic. Talk about what you believe in. Talk about what you're passionate about. There was one person that I've been friends with for a while here in the Valley that was scared of social media. She said, what I do is not very exciting. I don't know what to post. But she makes cheesecakes, so now you probably know who she is, and she makes phenomenal cheesecakes.
How are cheesecakes not engaging?
That's not what she does for a living.
Okay.
So what she does for a living is not all that exciting, but she makes phenomenal cheesecakes. So I said, start posting about that. Post recipes about that. Post that you're giving those out as gifts to your clients after the project. You'll get a huge following. Find what you're passionate about and post about that, and people will follow your business.
Passion makes a difference.
It does.
And not always selling on social.
Yeah.
So what questions, I'll let you guys kind of add to this. What things do you guys want to hear about from our panel?
I just wanted to make a comment. I actually saw the felt pumpkin that you're talking about.
That's wonderful.
I actually saw photos of people posting it online, people that I know that said they were there for the first time and had a great time, and they were very proud of what they created.
Well, thank you. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah,
So you asked, and it's really, like, I really am excited.
An acorn or something.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
they branched out and did acorns.
Yeah.
There was rogue needle felting going on up
And
there.
that made me go, I want an acorn.
Well, sure, we can help with that.
So you're right, it does work. Yeah.
Anybody else? Yes.
It's kind of technical, so Evan, I'll shoot it at you if you can handle. How does the Yelp algorithm work? And specifically, I asked I met with a business yesterday, retailer, successful retailer. They had 15 Yelp reviews, 14 of which were very positive, one was negative. of those 15, Yelp posts 3.
Mm-hmm.
So you see 1 negative and 2 positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that work?
So Yelp and I kind of have a negative relationship. I think, so when it comes to their algorithm, frankly, I don't know too much about it, but I mean, it's another, for those of you who haven't run into it, it's another place that a lot of businesses try and get reviews. Frankly, I think in some cases that it's even better than Google Maps when you're trying to find something to do or a specific business in the area that you're in. So I'm not sure, Pierce.
Yeah.
I wish I knew, but
and I haven't run into many that love Yelp, but
yeah,
it's still a necessary evil.
Yeah, and it seems like most of the people who review on Yelp are just the cave people, or those people that are just like over, above, and beyond, and have reviewed you on Facebook, Twitter. If there was one on Instagram, they do it there, LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. So, I tend to stay away from Yelp as much as possible when it comes to the businesses I'm working with.
Oddly, the business did find it effective to purchase advertising on Yelp.
Oh, wow.
I hated Yelp.
I'm
darn it.
Wow.
It works, and I get the data behind it from them. Yeah.
I mean, that's really unique because I've talked to several businesses about Yelp advertising, and none of them have said that it's really worked. Mm-hmm. So that's good that they had success with that.
This was more, this business relies on tourist business.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yep. Cool.
Well, and that's the thing. I think a lot of businesses dislike Yelp very much, but just because you don't want to be on it doesn't mean people aren't going to be reviewing you on it. And so
Exactly.
you've got to know what people are saying about you online, and that you have to be checking on that and seeing, because it's not a close your eyes and pretend it's not happening situation that'll work for a business.
Definitely not.
Well, that kind of reminds me of another point. I got an email list with some of the people that were going to be here. We got a little bit of information. So I took a few minutes to look at some of the social media that belongs to the people that were on my list. And one thing, I mean, a lot of it was fantastic and impressive and gave me a lot of good ideas. But one thing that I thought might be a good thing to mention is that if you have social media platforms that you're using, it's really important to keep them up to date. If I look you up online and you haven't posted anything since 2016, I'm probably going to think you're not in business anymore. So that is just a little thing to throw out, a little pitfall about even if you don't like it, you have to keep eating the vegetables, you have to keep up.
You have to eat vegetables.
I'll help you like vegetables. Well, that's another class at the Art Center.
Yeah, I mean, it's not enough just to be there. You have to be there and you have to be relevant, I think. So I think that's a really good point.
And even if you didn't create the page, it might be there, and you might not have control over it because you haven't claimed it.
Right.
So that we have 2 Gaines Group Facebook pages, one that keeps picking up my Charlottesville address and one that picks up my Harrisonburg address. I manage the Harrisonburg one. I don't do anything on the Charlottesville one other than post, please go to the other page. And I do that once every so often just so people will jump to the page that's actually maintained.
I think that one of the easiest ways to figure out where people are leaving reviews for you is just go to Google and type in your business name, comma, space, reviews, hit enter, and you should get a list of sites that you probably haven't even heard of that your business has been reviewed or somebody's talked about you on, so you can go in and figure out if you need to make some comments to people or handle a situation.
Or your old address is still listed because you didn't know the site existed, so food for a lunch and learn gets delivered across town instead of your office.
And super important because you want to make sure those are all good things to have all that information pointing back to your website. That helps you in search, but you need that information to be exactly the same across everywhere. So
there's some tools to search for that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some free ones off the top of my mind right now. I mean, of course, since we're in SEO, my organization does that for clients. We have the money to spend on search engine optimization software. I mean, honestly, doing that search in Google is one of the best ways that you can find, where your business is. Sometimes I've had to skip all the way to page 11 to find, something from a client, one of their sites. But I believe that there are, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Wish my SEO Jackie was here. She has been the one who's most up to date with that stuff.
So there are services that you can type in your website or your business name, and it'll give you a review of everything that's out there and tell you where things are conflicting with one another, so that you can put it back together.
So there's an SEO software called Moz, M-O-Z. So if you go to their website, I know that they have a function that will allow you to kind of get a short report about your website's SEO, and I think even show you some of the spots that your website you're having links from other people's websites to yours. And that, frankly, that SEO software isn't expensive. It's really easy to use. The dashboard is very user-friendly. So if that's something that you wanted to check out, I really encourage you to. Yeah.
And it's, and it's so important, again, to be listed on those sites. But if your business is listed as 1240 West Elm Street, and then on another site it's 1240 W Elm Street, that's the same information. We all know where we're going, but it's conflicting to Google, and we're trying to make Google happy. So it's important to have all of that out there exactly the same, so people aren't delivering food to your business or whatever that is. Any other questions? Yes.
So it might deviate a little bit from social media, but we have touched on it slightly. So Charles, I think I heard you mention about email marketing campaigns that you're not a huge fan. So just curious if we could dive into that just a little bit more. I know for us personally, our email list is actually significantly larger than even our Facebook following. And so we are trying to do things like uploading our email addresses into the ads manager on Facebook so that we can target those specific people to try and kind of balance it out. But what is it about emails that you're not crazy about? Or I think that you mentioned that you guys send out newsletters, emails. So
I do 2 a month.
Okay.
And that's it. Because
what
people
kind of,
tell me
open rates do you get? And
I get
what
about
do you...
70 to 73% are opened.
Wow.
Wow.
That's good.
That's
Yeah.
really
That's
impressive.
I promise people that they are not going to get a ton of emails, and I try to put a really catchy picture at the top of it, and I make it a really simple format. So the other nice thing about my email list is that all of the people that are on there have asked to be on there. They've actually written it on an old tech kind of clipboard, and they've asked to be notified, because not everybody, particularly in my business, not everybody uses social media. There are some people that say, would you please mail me a calendar because I don't have a computer.
Right.
So limiting it, just not flooding them with stuff. If I'm going to send my monthly newsletter, I send a link to my monthly newsletter, and when you click the little blue letters, it takes you to my website instead of overloading them. I've had some articles published with Fonz, Abilify, Amplify. And one of the things that they suggest is that nothing should be more than a 4-minute read if you really want people to read it. Otherwise, they're just going to scroll through it.
If you give them too much, they won't read it at all.
It's just overwhelming. Nobody has time for that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
My newsletter goes out once a month. I just started it a couple months ago. I was relying totally on people subscribing to the blog and social media. I'm only sending out event announcements, so I'm only sending you a newsletter when I have beer and food to offer you. And then I put my blog links below that.
Yeah. I mean, like they said, sending out just mass emails that nobody cares about, that you're not providing value for your customers or for your audience. If you're just selling them a sales pitch, they're gonna it's gonna go in the trash, or they're just not gonna open it at all. So,
What's in it for me?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
it's the whole thing about social and email and any of this stuff, I think.
Well, another helpful thing, if you use MailChimp, it lets you have kind of categories, like different mailing lists. So when people come, I kind of have these little guest cards that they fill out, and I just ask them to check the boxes for things that interest them. So if I have some ladies who are in their 80s, they're not really interested in the children's process art for toddlers and preschoolers. So I don't send them information that's not relevant. So they're in a different email category. And that really helps you keep things relevant, because I'm sending out email every week. I'm just not sending it to everybody every week.
That's really interesting. Anybody else? Thomas, you had your hand up.
Yeah, just for those of us that work with other colleagues that have to make joint decisions, just what's some advice on people who are more scared of the downside risk of social media than they understand the upside, especially if they're of an age where they don't really understand how the internet works?
You could let them hang out with my 13-year-old daughter for a while.
They might be even more terrified about it afterwards.
She's a pretty great ambassador. She's the one who said, "Mama, you need Instagram. Let me help you. Give me your phone."
Most of these individuals have kids that are very well versed in social media.
Okay. So Thomas, you can join Facebook. It's not too late. You can come over to the Facebook side.
No, his Twitter game's too strong.
Right. I think telling the story of the return, that my partners didn't care about social media. I interviewed for a project yesterday, and the person I was interviewing with was reading my blogs back to me as we walked through the house saying, "I want to do this here because I know you said that." So she didn't buy, somebody was at her house before, and she didn't buy what they were offering because Charles said that that was not right, and she knew she needed to call Charles. It's building that trust so that you've already sold before you got there. So that's how I close deals, is I know that I'm hired if I get invited out. Thomas was just on a how to close a deal session.
I mean, would they be interested in reading a report or industry statistics or anything like that? I mean, that's something that I've had to pitch to clients before, like, actually, yes, you do need to be on social media because this white paper and this case study all say that you need to, and that this business, which is in your industry, has had success doing this. I mean, if your competitors are on social, why shouldn't you be?
And that might be helpful, looking at your competitors' social media.
Showing them the competitor stuff.
And maybe even take a different approach to it. You know, for some of my clients, it's not just a way to engage or just, you know, post funny videos or whatever, but it's also a customer service. You know, it's another aspect of that customer service experience that they're walking through. So, I mean, since you're in banking, you know, maybe somebody's having an issue with their account and they're like, well, I can't necessarily just drop them a line on their website because they don't have a contact form, and I know people sometimes don't get back to me in time, but if they go to Facebook, you know, they could send you a message immediately and say, hey, my account is having this issue, like, can you help me figure it out? So I found that in some cases for certain businesses that it's really been an extension of that customer service experience, and you want to be in front of them all the way, or else they're going to drop a review somewhere that you don't know about it, and it's going to be real bad.
True.
I think you just got to push forward. It's not an option not to be in the space anymore, so until you can get everyone on the bus. I mean, I think everybody's probably experienced that of colleagues or friends that won't do social, but when it comes to your business, it's so important at this point just to be there and to be relevant. Yes?
How often should you post on social media? I know you said 5 days a week you were doing a blog. There's no way you can schedule.
Well, so this year things changed in my life. I'm blogging maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe once every 3 weeks. But I'm always on social media, so if I have a gap in my schedule, I'm going to see what Thomas is posting about real men wear pink, and I'm going to repost it. I want to be relevant. I don't want an outdated site that hasn't been updated for 16?
It was 16, yeah.
For quite a while. So as often as you're comfortable doing, so you set your own pace, and people will start expecting what you're posting on that regular schedule. As I was blogging on a regular basis, looking at open rates, I can see what time people were opening my blog.
Right.
I know that most people in this room, when you get to work, the first thing you do is surf the internet because you're reading my blog. So I posted at 9 o'clock, so it was fresh content at the top of everybody's feed when they got to work. That's when I get the most reads. Or at 6:30, when you should be eating dinner with your family, you're also surfing the web. So you got to know what your target is.
Sorry. There's also a handy little program that I've found called buffer.com. And it is why I no longer say I hate using social media now. I just struggle with it. It is one website that is very user-friendly. I figured it out without my daughter's help. And you can connect it to all of your platforms at once, and you can decide when things will be posted. So I can sit down and spend a couple of hours doing all the posts that I would like to go out for the week, and I can tell Buffer that I would like this one to go to Instagram on Tuesday at 6, and I would like this one to go to Facebook on Wednesday at 9 in the morning. It is really handy. And then you can go in and edit it if something changes. And that happened one time. I had posted all of the events that I had for a week, and one of them filled up before it was scheduled to go out. So I just went in and deleted it. So it's a very user-friendly program to use.
So instead of doing it all the time, schedule some time and
just get it out of the way.
them.
Because the thing that I hated was the whole copying and pasting into all of the things. And then if you do use Facebook, really be mindful if you're posting events. It will fiddle with the times, particularly if you duplicate an event. So there was one time that I posted a children's art activity that was like 14 hours long because I didn't know that it fiddled with the times. I didn't enter that. So yeah. Buffer lets you just sit down and schedule a lot and be done with it.
Yeah, and then there's some other I guess platforms for social media management out there. We use Hootsuite, but I mean that's something that since we have multiple clients who have multiple different social media accounts, that's something that's really powerful for us to use. The only thing that I don't like about Hootsuite right now is the fact that with Instagram, say you schedule a post for 9 o'clock, unfortunately it doesn't just send it to Instagram automatically like I understand Buffer does, but it actually comes to your phone and says you actually have to log into the Instagram account then to like click go.
Buffer does that too.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
have to go and it will automatically clip your text or copy your text.
Yeah.
And you have to add it.
Yeah, that's the only frustrating thing about social media management platforms right now. But there's also Buffer and Hootsuite, and then Sprout Social is another one. I mean, each of them have different features and pros and cons. I would say Hootsuite is if you have multiple locations. And you have, I mean, an Instagram, a Twitter, and a Facebook for each location for your business. I would say Hootsuite's definitely one that you should consider, but if you just have one location, Buffer or Sprout Social would be good. Yeah.
So we are just about out of time. Is there anything kind of last things that you guys want to kind of tell our group in regards to the spirit of social media, I guess?
The one thing that I've learned along the way, because I don't have a social media expert, I'm doing this as I go. I'd like to encourage you that if you haven't started playing with social media, it's really doable, and there are lots of great people that are willing to help you. And one thing that was really significant for me, where I saw a big difference in the number of contacts that I was receiving, was when I actually made sure that my Facebook page and my Google account were verified. I didn't even know that was a thing. It's a big deal. So you may all know that, but it's just a helpful thing to check and see if your accounts and things have been verified.
The fastest way for you to grow your social media platform is to support other people that are on social media because they'll return the favor.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I would say education is probably one of the other big things. Hootsuite, as I was talking about earlier, they actually have 2 free social media management courses. One to actually learn how to use the Hootsuite platform, and another one to actually, how to create a social media, campaign and run it and all that kind of stuff. So those are 2 great resources. Then also, follow some blogs and other websites that have good, just content about how to do marketing. I mean, they have everything from SEO to social media. Hootsuite's a great one. Also, HubSpot and Search Engine Land is another great one that I refer to a lot as well. So, yeah.
Lots of great tools out there.
Definitely.
Well, thank you guys very much. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. I learned from the other people on the panel different perspectives, different platforms that they use. It was also nice to hear that they have some of the same struggles or frustrations with certain platforms that I do. And it was really great to hear that lady who was a guest in the room say that she had seen the needle-felted pumpkins that I had talked about. So that was really exciting. So if you're starting a business, I think it's really helpful to have someone to kind of walk along with you as you start working with social media. It's really easy to make mistakes, and that saying about having one chance to make a first impression is really true. So just having someone to look over the things that you post and check for grammatical errors and for content is really helpful. It's also really manageable. And what I have found is that the most successful way to get anyone to help you with social media is to just ask them. Usually people are happy to help.
The panel discussion's been great. I've been to one on diversity, one on social media, and one on closing the deal. So just the experts sharing their knowledge with us has been a phenomenal opportunity for us here in this community. Social media is a phenomenal tool to build your reputation in the community. I've used it over the last 10 years to get to know this new community for me. Just being authentic, reaching out to new clients. I've seen it work. I've had clients that when I've gotten to the interview, they already know me. So I don't have to sell myself anymore. They're calling me because they know that I can bring value to the project.